President, on siyempre po sa ating lahat ng mga nais na sabihin ng ating Pangulo ay sa bibig po ng ating Secretary Manggagaling, Attorney Harry Roque. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It is a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen of the media, to be here conducting the very first press briefing from Panakan. I hope to do this regularly. No? Now, former Secretary Abella did not conduct Monday press briefings. I've decided to conduct Monday press briefings starting with the good news. So Mondays always start with good news. The first good news is that Moody Investor Services predicted the economy to grow by 6.5%, which is also the target of the government for 2017. We are on track given that we're already in November. No? So the 6.5 to 7% growth rate forecasted by authorities will happen from all indications. No? Now, further good news is that we achieve a 4.64% growth in the agricultural sector from January to September 2017 and 2.32% growth in the third quarter of 2017 with a gross value of production amounting to 382.5 billion according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. This was attributed to production gains in the crops, livestock, and poultry subsectors. Likewise, the DA reported that farmers' income increases by 3.68 from July to September and 4.19% increase in the first 9 months of 2017. More good news, the Board of Investments reported that we have maintained our momentum in attracting investors and generating jobs for the Filipinos. Now, BOI reported that the investment approvals for the month of October alone recorded a 108%
Emma, tingnan muna natin. Ayan. So,
Yes.
bumabalik po yung signal natin.
Balik na tayo. As I said, the BOI, the Board of Investment, reported that for the month of October alone, there was a 187% increase in foreign investments amounting to 27.6 billion. This is higher than 9.6 billion of October 2016. In addition, January to October 2017 period showed significant growth in overall investment approvals, approved projects, and employment generation. Specifically, 408.7 billion worth of overall investments were gained, which is 38.1% higher than the 296 billion of the same period last year. So napakadami pong namumuhunan sa ating bayan. The approved projects also increased by 30% with 369 projects compared to 283 projects of the same period last year. With these additional investments, there were additional 69,862 new jobs created on the first 10 months, which is 35.1% higher than last year's 51,732. Likewise, more good news, 77% of Filipinos support government efforts to rebuild Marawi. This is according to SWS. No? The recovery, reconstruction, and rehabilitation of Marawi is no easy task. It is for this reason that the President, a month after the rebellion broke out, signed Admin Order Number 3, creating an interagency task force Bangon Marawi, not only as a means to organize and deploy quick response team to attend to the immediate needs of the affected areas, but also to develop and implement a comprehensive rehabilitation and recovery program for the city of Marawi. Just last week, I conducted also my first press briefing in Marawi, and where we announced the government plans for the recovery of Marawi, and with government promising to deliver the first 500 temporary housing, which I've seen with my own 2 eyes, by mid-December of this year. No? And this is in addition to the 500 DIPA hats already donated by non-governmental organizations in Marawi. No? It was also mentioned by General De Rosario in our press briefing last week that the plan was no longer to rebuild the most affected area. They will flatten out the most affected area, which consists of 200 to 250. They will build it from scratch. They will have 4-lane highways, a promenade along Tagus River. Okay, now that's the good news for Monday. I'm open to your questions now.
Okay, Ayan Milihor of PNA. There's a mic. Thank you, Ayan.
Good morning, sir. Ayan Milihor from Philippine News Agency. Sir, you said that there were substantial growth on investments. Are these from private sector? Or?
Definitely. This is Board of Investment, so these are foreign investments.
But what about the government investments, sir, in terms of implementing projects?
Well, the government budget spending has been on track. I was assured of this by the Department of Budget and Management. So last year's budget will be spent. No? And that is, of course, the cornerstone of our economic planning for the year, to improve spending, which we have done. No? We're looking at record high percentage of spending, absorptive capacity compared to the previous years. So that's good news as well. But as to the actual percentage, I don't have the latest one. I still have the latest as of the time when I was still in Congress, because I kept on propounding questions on the absorptive capacity. But it will be very good this year. The Department of Budget and Management has given assurance that we are on track.
Follow up? No more. Okay, Ruth Palo, Dumandan of Radyo Pilipinas.
Secretary, I just want to know if kung meron ng guidelines sa President Duterte or guidance, yung how do we treat ito mga legal fronts ng CPP and PNDF?
Well, he said that he will order their arrests, no, eventually, and there's really no other way to interpret it other than he would want them charged. And the basis for charging them, of course, is conspiracy. It's either for conspiracy to commit prohibited acts under the Human Security Act, which is really crimes already punishable by the revised penal code. I suppose it will include rebellion, plus the additional element of seeking to sow terror or panic in the minds of the general public. No? Or it could be also for conspiracy to commit rebellion.
Thank you, Sec. Si Senator Grace Poe is asking for the President to sign up urgent bill, yung emergency powers, to resolve yung traffic situation.
We appreciate the concern of Senator Grace, but as of the time I left the House of Representatives, which has wholly been a whole month, the House had already passed the traffic crisis bill. No? So it's awaiting action on the Senate. So really, it's the Senate's call whether or not to enact this traffic crisis bill into law.
Thank you, Sec.
Okay, Hernal Tokmo of ABS, Davao.
Sir, on Thursday, thousands are expected to gather at Davao Crocodile Park to urge President Duterte to declare a revolutionary government. So what is the reaction of Malacanang about the call for RevGov, and is there a legal basis on this?
We appreciate the calls of the President's supporters for RevGov, but I think there's no factual or legal basis as of now, because the President has said that he will consider a revolutionary government if the stabilizers will persist in their plan to have him removed from office. Now, I stress, we don't see any threat, any such threat in the near future. The President enjoys 80% approval rating. He was duly elected. He had a margin of 5 million votes from the second highest candidate. So he is de jure, he is constitutional, he enjoys tremendous public support, he has the support of Congress. So we see no reason to declare a revolutionary government. But we appreciate the support of the President's supporters, of course. But we assure them the President is on top, he was duly elected, and he remains hugely popular. My prediction is his popularity approval rating will even go up from the current 80%.
Thank you, Hernal. Edith Regalado of Philippine Star, please. Mark?
Sir, good morning po.
Yes, Edith, good morning.
Yeah. But there is apparently a widening and a bigger deficit government is right now. So how do you, what is this? How do you reconcile it with the 6.9% growth that we have? And the second question is, the president is thinking of giving the mega drug treatment and rehabilitation center to the soldiers, in which the AFP said they could also use it for barracks, for training and everything. But since Fort Magsaysay is considered as the biggest training center for the army, so could we have any word on it, sir?
On your first point on the deficit, I don't think it's anything to worry about. It's within acceptable limits according to the Department of Budget and Management. And that's not even bad because it shows that we're able to spend. Whereas the problem before was underspending or very low absorptive capacity, this shows that government is now spending and using the national budget as a tool to promote economic growth. No? So that's not bad and it's within acceptable range. On the mega drug facility, well, given that it is underutilized, we emphasize again that this was given by a private donor who decided to build it as is, and therefore there's not much we can do about it. But it will never go to waste. The fact that the facility is already within the premises of a military camp means it can be used for the purpose of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Now, in fact, from the very beginning, we said that the mega drug facility would only be temporary and that ultimately it will in fact be turned over to the Armed Forces of the Philippines. But for now, there's also suggestion to make it into a training academy for the PIDEA or whoever eventually will take the lead in the war against drugs. Thank you.
Thank you, Edith. From PTV. Mike, please.
Sir, malapit na po yung December 31, sir. Meron na po bang plano kung i-extend po yung martial law dito sa Mindanao?
The President has said that he's awaiting recommendation from the Armed Forces of the Philippines. I think as of last week, they asked for 30 days. So I think we should hear from the Armed Forces of the Philippines on or before the date of expiration. No? But I think it has to be done before Congress goes on break. No? Because the expiration is the 31st. If we decide for an extension, then Congress may have to call a special session, no? And cut short its Christmas break, which we did anyway the last time. No?
Okay, thank you. Back to Ruth.
Okay, Secretary, just want to find out if ibigay na ba sa GRP yung formal notice of termination. Naghihintay daw si Fidel Agcawili yung notice of termination, sir?
Well, I'll have to verify that from Secretary Dureza. But, you know, the declaration and the proclamation is we have for now put a halt to ongoing peace talks. No? I will verify in time for tomorrow's press briefing whether notice of termination has been given to the CPP-NPA.
Follow-up, sir, when can we expect the formal declaration of the President declaring NPA as terrorists?
I wouldn't give the President a deadline, but the latest issuance in terms of an EO is that we are terminating peace talks for now. So I suppose that the declaration will be forthcoming.
Edith?
Good morning, sir. Sir, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Marawi is asking government, especially President Duterte, to give them at least the benefit of visiting the malls in Marawi, which is located in the most affected area, for them to show the pictures of their establishments because the government is allowing them to have a loan. But they cannot provide substantial documents to prove that they are in the most affected area. So they are asking the president to give them a pass or maybe a tour so they can document what happened to their area so they can apply for a loan because they said we welcome the invitation of the government for us to avail a loan, but we cannot provide the documentary requirements, and they cannot also provide a 6 months bank certificate because the records were all raised to the ground.
Yes, I was in Marawi last week, as I said, and the same question was asked. Secretary Del Rosario said, and this was confirmed by the Chief of Staff, General Guerrero, that they're not actually prohibited, except that they have to do it in batches because of security considerations. Not that there's still ongoing fighting there, but the possibility of IEDs, no, which remain undetonated, no. So that's why they're being given access, but batch per batch and pursuant to arrangements, prior arrangements made by the military. So that was the assurance made by both the AFP and General Del Rosario, no. Now, on the recovery efforts, no, they're going to flatten the most affected area, no? And as I said, they will widen infrastructure, 4-lane roads, promenade. It's going to be a major tourist destination. Those who have titles will be allowed to rebuild, but those without titles will have to await the action of the DNR and the Armed Forces of the Philippines. What do I mean? Bulk of the land in Marawi, especially the most affected area, is covered by military reservation. Now, the president had already ordered the AFP to finalize how much land they would require so that the excess land can be given to the residents of Marawi. Now, that entails complying with the requirements for applying for title. No? That is to show peaceful and continuous occupation in concept of owner for the claimants. No? So that's the status. If you have land title, then you will have to await until structures have been flattened out. Then you can return to your place. If part of your property was taken for building of the expanded road, then you will be paid just compensation. But for those without title, they would have to await the action of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the DNR, which was also tasked by the President to hasten the survey of the area.
Follow-up lang, sir. Do we foresee a problem like culturally the Maranao people is not that keen on getting land titles, and they said, paano kami kukuha ng titulo? Amin na to, kanununuan pa. Kung ilipat kami, nandito na yung mga sultans and the datus were buried dun sa most affected area. So ano yung na-foresee natin na possible challenge ng government in as far as the new facade or the new Marawi is concerned?
There is an existing law, the IPRA. And for those that can prove that portions of the area constitute their ancestral domains, and they could apply for CADTs. No? Now, General De Rosario also committed, no, that the process of rebuilding will be done with very close coordination and consultation with the people. He promised, in fact, that the rebuilding of Marawi will be pursuant to the religious faith of the residents of Marawi.
Final, sir. Sir, may leeway po ba yung government in as far as yung importation and bringing of goods to Marawi? Kasi I've talked to one of the contractors from Korea. The materials for the 172 houses in Salungsongan is already available. That was shipped in Cagayan, November 12 pa. Pero na-hold po ng customs. Sabi ng contractor, it could have been good kung natapos yung 265 na donated by the government of South Korea. Nung dumaan kami sa Cagayan po, ang nalaman namin, hindi pa po na-release. Though they gave all the documents na to the customs, but it was not released yet. As of Thursday po, nung nandun po kayo. So, do we have leeways po ba? As far as
I'm sorry, I'm spokesperson, but I keep on referring to pending bills in the House because I was one of the authors to which grants tax holidays, including customs holidays, no, to donations to disaster-prone areas, no, disaster-hit areas, and this will classify as a disaster. So under the bill, they would be exempt from tariffs and customs duties, no, if it's donated to disaster-ravaged area. But your point is very well taken. I'm sure General De Rosario will act on this because, as I said, we had promised to turn over the first 500 temporary shelter by mid-December. And after this, I will call General De Rosario and tell him about this new information.
Question? Yes?
Good morning, sir. I'm Angie from Davao. Sir, what's the Malacanang's reaction to the action of Mayor Sara that she will continue the localized peace talks because there's still no legal document that is tagging CPP and PA as terrorists?
That is correct. No? We have local autonomy, so the peace talks can proceed on a local level if the local government units should want or desire to proceed.
Winston, Inquirer, no question. Ayan? Edith, okay. Mike, please.
Winston,
Sir-
can you wait, Edith? Philip Tobes had a question. Can you text him so you can ask the question now? He had a question yesterday. Yes, Edith.
Yes, sir. Question lang po. Because the President said last week that he's going to fire some government officials who go on travels abroad without asking the proper travel authority from his office. Could we know if there are already action
No
towards
such
this?
list has been given to me. But I will inquire from the President because we are going to Maguindanao together.
Okay, thank you.
No more question? Okay, Joey of PIA.
Sir, may we know the implication?
Mike, please.
I'm Joey Samdalumbinas of the Philippine Information Agency. May we know the implication of the cessation of the peace process with the CPP-NPA?
I don't know what are the implications. Right now, it's off. The peace talks are off, and we have resumed basically the conduct of warfare on a non-international basis. No? So we are again pursuing the NPA, the NPA as a rebel group, no? Under our domestic laws, and even under the second additional protocol of the Geneva Conventions, they are a non-international combatant.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, Angie, Lana. Any more questions, sir? Can you comment on our Miss Universe?
I'm so happy that she made it to the top 16,
Yes.
and we wish her the best.
Okay, so no more question.
Although
Okay,
wala
Ayan?
na namang duda ngayon, ang Pilipina talaga
Yes.
pinakamagaganda sa daigdig na ito.
Okay, Ayan.
Kasama na rin yung mga kalalakihan, ha? Kasama na rin kami ron. Okay.
Sir, last week there was a warning from the President on mining industries not to give in to the revolutionary tax demand for revolutionary taxes. So far, is there an expression of commitment from the mining operators that they will not, or they're not really give in to the demands of to pay revolutionary taxes po?
Well, there's now information on whether or not the mining companies have reacted, but what the President said is actually a statement of a legal obligation on the part of private entities not to provide support, not to abet acts of rebellion, because the payment of revolutionary taxes is the one financing the ongoing rebellion, which is also criminal.
Sir, based po sa latest feedback ng Task Force Marawi, how many have been recruited to join again the
Wala
ISIS?
po silang information, but they confirmed that there were efforts to recruit inhabitants around the most affected area. But of course, that is the reason why we are doubling our effort to rebuild Marawi, to send a message to the youth that government is there to provide hope, and that is why the President has done away with red tape. He said that General De Rosario is in charge, and he ordered all cabinet members to coordinate with General De Rosario in the rebuilding of Marawi.
Does the same figure reassure the Office of the President that recruitment is paid upon acceptance, 200, depends on the skills, and they're given, promised 50,000 a month for a salary if should they join the terror group?
Well, we're giving them a hope. We're giving them an opportunity to stand up, and we're promising them that Marawi will be one of the most progressive cities after its rebuilding.
After you visited Marawi last Thursday, sir, what's your
Wednesday.
take? Thursday. How do you view Marawi vis-a-vis the Philippine government's effort to develop the
Of
country?
course, it's very sad because as a law professor in UP, I frequented MSU Marawi, so I'm very familiar with Marawi. I've been there at least 8 times. No? It was sad going around the most affected area. It felt surreal. I felt I was in a Hollywood set, except that it was for real. But we will show that with political will, with renewed faith and trust in government, nababangon po ang Marawi. Hindi po natin mapapabayaan ang Marawi. Ang pangako po ng Presidente, sagot ko ang Marawi at babangon muli ang Marawi.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Edith?
Yeah. Sir, another question po. The President had mentioned for a number of times already about these terrorists, the Islamic State link group, militant groups, rebuilding right now, and then there's that possibility, the warning of that they're going to strike back. That is why he needs a stronger AFP, a stronger PNP. So could you tell us about that rebuilding and striking back? Yan ang term niya.
I heard the President say that. I was present when he said that. I can confirm that in the meeting with Russia and in the meeting with China and even with the United States, the President had expressed his appreciation for the material support given in the war against international terrorism. He has also gotten the commitment of all three powers that they will continue to provide us with military hardware that we need to continue the fight against terrorism. In the ASEAN, all ASEAN countries and their partners agreed that terrorism is not just a domestic issue, that it transcends boundaries, that they have recognized in the region that terrorism and extreme and violent extremism is a threat to everyone in the region, and they all agreed to cooperate and provide information on the movements of these terrorist groups. So I guess in response to your answer, we're gearing up. In last Thursday, before the President met with the victims of Maguindanao massacre, he was in a closed-door meeting with the armed forces and General and Secretary Diokno, and this had to do with procurement for the armed forces of the Philippines, because he knows that we have to be in full alert and ready to meet any challenges arising from these terrorist groups.
Okay. Sir, update lang po, sir. You said there is a need for yung equipment, yung warfare, and yung mga ganon. Now, the question is, where are we now? Meaning to say, Russia promised this. So, how could you just give us a rundown or a ballpark estimate of the whole thing? What is this? What do we have now, and what do we expect in the future to make that AFP stronger, that PNP stronger?
You know, as far as the Russian and Chinese assistance are concerned, these are not just estimates. They actually gave it to us, which we used in the urban warfare that we successfully won against the terrorist group, no? ISIS Maute. So it's not just promised assistance, it's assistance already received. Now, in the different bilaterals that he had with President Putin and President Xi Jinping and the Chinese premier, there was a whole list of armaments that the President needed. He needed more firearms. He needed more helicopters, attack helicopters. He needed more planes. He needed night vision equipment. So he has a whole list of inventory that he needs to procure from these allies.
So he has the whole list of that inventory that he needs to procure. So from those allies and those that we are going to procure. But the point is, do we have that? Where are we now?
As I said, only last Thursday, he had a closed-door meeting on procurement.
So wala pa tayong ano talaga?
Well, hindi po. Nabigay na kasi ng Russia at saka ng China yung mga baril. Nagamit na nga po. Okay? Pero after we received it for free, the President said, I will buy next time. No? And I think he already has a shopping list. That's why he already had a closed-door conference with DBM Secretary and the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Sir, could you just give us an idea, in that shopping list, what are the sources?
Ano
Wala,
po yung sources?
yung kung saan kukunin, sa ano.
Ang problema po kasi, mga Amerikano ayaw tayo pagbentahan.
Okay.
Di ba po, nagkaroon ng
20,000,
resolution yung Kongreso, kaya hindi natuloy yung pagbili
State
natin ng
Department.
Armalites. No? So wala tayong choice kung hindi bumili sa China at saka sa Russia. At pagbebentahan naman po tayo ng China at ng Russia. Now, having said that, in one of the bilateral meetings, isa pong reklamo ni President Trump, yung Vietnam na napakalaki ng trade surplus pagdating sa Amerika, sa Russia pa rin bumibili ng kanyang mga military hardware, no? So, ewan ko po kung magbebenta si President Trump, pero he seemed to be pushing American arms to Vietnam. So, tayo naman, we were ready to buy Armalites from the United States, but they were prohibited by the U.S. Congress from selling to us. But we will buy where we can.
Sir, in terms of the New People's Army, by request kasi. Sir, in terms of New People's Army, I think the military right now is, the AFP is preparing for yung repercussion, yung ano nila, yung attacks nila, di ba? So, have you ever identified saan yung mga areas na ano sila, na where these NPAs are found yung ano nag-ooperate?
Edith, I'm sure the military knows, but I can't divulge for obvious reasons.
Na, yung ano, yung mostly they're operating in which areas, may mga ganun yun eh.
As I
Considered to be the ano.
I'm sure the armed forces knows, but will not divulge that.
So there is no chance that government will ever get back to the negotiating table after it canceled the talks?
Alam nyo nga, my line has become famous. It is permanent for now.
Okay.
But we can never tell.
Yes,
Okay.
Eddie.
Because remember, the Senate also said that they will be a bridge to backdoor negotiations. But for now, it is closed. The door has been closed. Until the NPA has shown sincerity that it really is desiring long-term peace.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Edith. Here's the question from Philip Tubeza. What about the other leftists still holding cabinet level posts? Pinagpaparesign ba na or do they still have president's trust and confidence?
For as long as they remain in their post, they enjoy the trust and confidence of the president. When they go, then obviously the president had ceased to have trust and confidence in them. All presidential appointees hold office at the pleasure of the president.
Thank you, sir. From Karen Lema of Reuters, Secretary Roque clarified what's latest on President's plan to bring back police and drugs war.
Okay. It is safe to reveal that the president, while inclined to return into the PNP, has not made up completely his mind. Okay? And the reason is last Thursday was the last time I saw the president, and I heard him say again that he is inclined, but he has not transferred it to the PNP again. So I guess until the document is signed by him, it remains with PIDEA.
Okay, last question from Ayan.
But I will actually seek clarification from the president. But let's not pressure him either way.
Yes.
That's a presidential discretion, no? Prerogative.
Last two questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ano sir, can you give us the position of the president po on the vote of the Philippines to end the military campaign against the Rohingya crisis, sir?
Well, I think Secretary Alan Cayetano had explained that we voted no on a draft resolution asking Myanmar to allow unimpeded humanitarian assistance because we did not want Myanmar to go back and become an isolationist state again. And to me, that of course makes a lot of sense because not too long ago, Myanmar was an isolationist country, completely shut off from the rest of the world. We were, in fact, one of the few countries that continued to have close relations with Myanmar to the point that we were amongst those that first pressured the military junta to accord the rights to opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, so that's the kind of relationship that we have with Myanmar. We always want to be viewed by Myanmar as a friendly neighbor country so that we can continue to engage with the government of Myanmar.
Was this issue discussed during the ASEAN, sir?
It was, but there was no ASEAN declaration made in this regard. But I think many countries expressed concern, and Myanmar, in fact, addressed the concerns by raising 3 points. It is in the process of implementing the Kofi Annan report. It will allow delivery of humanitarian assistance, and it will allow the return of refugees from Bangladesh after it had executed an MOU with Bangladesh.
Thank you, Ayan. Yes, Ruth.
Secretary, may sunod-sunod na pamamaril sa mga progresibong grupo. In fact, kahapon dito sa Davao City, yung member ng Anak Pawis was killed. And kagabi din doon sa Agusan del Norte, and the other week, merong pastor ng UCCP na binaril din. Member din ng farmers group. What's your take on this? Or baka sisigaw na naman sila na EJK ito?
Ang utos po ng Presidente, dakipin at kasuhan. No? Wala pong kahit anong order na pumatay ng mga leftists. No? Alam niyo naman dito sa Davao, talaga namang ang Presidente has always had close relations with them. Kaya he really feels betrayed. Akala niya dahil malapit ang relasyon niya sa kaliwa, talaga namang makikipag-usap ng tapat. Pero ano naman ang gagawin ng Presidente? Napakatagal niyang nakipagkaibigan sa kanila dito mismo sa syudad ng Davao. Napakadami sa hanay nila na inappoint niya sa napakatataas na mga posisyon. Nung una, magkaibigan sila. Napakadaming botong ibinigay doon sa mga party list groups. At alam niyo naman yan, tignan niyo na lang ang voting record dito sa Davao City. Mas marami pang binigay si Presidente sa kanila kaysa sa aking sariling party list dito sa Davao. So, ano pang gusto nila kay Presidente? Ang sinasabi lang nila, tapusin na natin yan. Magkaibigan naman sila ni Joe Masison, profesor niya, nung siya'y estudyante sa Lyceum. Walang dapat pag-awayan. Nakikipag-usap ng tapat. Ambush ng sundalo. Isa pang issue talaga is, sino pa talaga nagkokontrol ng NPA? Kasi yung pag-aambush nila ng kasundaluhan habang nakipag-usap ng kapayapaan, number one, pagtatraidor yan. Pero kung hindi pagtatraidor, sino nagkokontrol ng NPA at sino dapat nakausapin kung magkakaroon ng usaping pangkapayapaan? So nabuti naman po nandito ako sa Davao kasi yan din ang mga tanong sa Maynila. Alam po ng Davao kung ganong kalapit ang Presidente dyan sa mga kaliwa dahil naintindihan niya yung mga suliranin na pinapublicize ng mga kaliwa. At yung programa naman niya, gusto niyang bigyan ng kasagutan at solusyon yung mga root causes ng rebellion. Kaya naman tingnan ninyo, 6.5% ang ating economic growth. Yung mga oligarchs, isa-isa niyang pinababayad. Yung Mighty na pabayad niya, yung Philippine Airlines na pabayad niya. Nagkaroon na tayo ng libreng tuition sa state universities and colleges. Yung ating panukalang batas na na-certify urgent, universal healthcare, libreng tanghalian sa mga kabataan. Lahat po yan nagmula sa paningin ni Presidente na talagang dapat maging instrumento ng social justice ang gobyerno. So dapat naman makipagtulungan na ang mga komunista dahil siya naman hindi niya tinuturing sa simula na kalaban ng mga komunista dahil nga yung mga sympathizers ng CPP-NPA dahil sa kahirapan. Pero hindi naman po pwede na patuloy ang putukan. Ang panawagan po, magkaroon ng sinseridad dahil kung wala pong kapayapaan, talagang walang matagalang pag-unlad na mangyayari, lalong-lalo na yung pag-unlad na makikinabang, yung mga pinakamahihirap doon sa mga lugar na aktibo ang NPA. So mabuti naman po na mahabang eksplanasyon ang nabigay ko dito sa Davao dahil alam niyo po talaga ang paninindigan ni Presidente tungkol dito sa usaping ito.
Can you comment on the statement of Sison that the President is political swindler?
Alam niyo po, that's really foul.
Yes.
I will not even dignify the name calling. Kung political swindler siya, ba't ang daming botong binigay sa kanila sa Davao? Kung political swindler siya, bakit inappoint sa gabinete? Kung political swindler siya, bakit hindi siya nag-all-out war? Matapos na eleksyon, popular ang presidente. Diba? Hanggang ngayon nga, tinigil lang ang peace talks. At sinabi, tuloy ang labanan. Pero the president could have ordered all-out war. Diba? Napakatagal na po nitong labanan nito. Nasa Guinness Book of World Record nito. Ano pa bang gusto nila? Yung China, pinakamagaling na sa kapitalismo, mawis pa rin sila. Ano ba yan? Kailangan umusad na. Move on. Naiwanan na kayo. Iniwan na kayo ng People's Republic of China. Ano ba yan? Sino pa kayo magre-report? Wala na kayong pagre-reportan. Puro bilyonaryo na yung member ng People's Congress ng China. Naiwan na kayo. Please, tama na yung name-calling na yan. Wala pong utang ang presidente sa mga komunista. Wala pong pagtaksil na ginawa ang presidente sa mga komunista. Ang ipinalit po nila doon sa ninanais na kapayapaan, walang tigil na pagpatay doon sa mga batang opisyales at sundalo natin. Hindi po tama yan.
Okay, go. Last question. Identify yourself, please, microphone.
Good morning, sir. I'm Dario Formento from Bumburadyo, Davao. So regarding sa yung pumunta si Pangulo dito sa Davao last week, nabanggit niya na tatanggalin yung mga legal fronts ng mga NPA sa party list, sir. Ano po ang...
Wala naman siya sinabing party list. Ikaw talaga. Ikaw lang nagdagdag niyan. Sabi lang niya, legal front.
Yes, sir.
Hayaan natin na ang presidente mag-explain kung sino yung legal front.
So, a follow-up, sir, yung Maguindanao Massacre, sir.
Ay, mabuti naman kasi hindi masyado na-cover yan dahil 4:30 na yung aming meeting. No? Sige po, ano punta
Yes, sir. Nung bumisita yung mga pamilya na biktima ng Maguindanao Massacre, may pinangako ba ang presidente
Madami po.
makamit yung hustisya bago magtapos
Madami
ang kanyang
po.
panungkulan?
Unang-una, sabi niya, talagang obligasyon ng ehekutibo na bigyan ng katarungan yung mga biktima ng kaharasan. Pangalawa, ito pong nangyari sa Maguindanao Massacre, shabu killing din po yan. May isa pong testigo, si Upam Swaib, alias Jesse, napatay na rin po yun. Pero dun sa kanyang sinabi sa media, at sinabi sa kanyang statement, talagang namigay pa ng shabu bago yung massacre. So talagang shabu killing yung nangyari, kaya nga karumal-dumal. No? Wala talaga sila sa tamang pag-iisip. So nangako ang presidente na mas mabilis na katarungan. May mga in-order siya kay Secretary Justice Vitaliano Aguirre at nag-order rin siya na bigyan ng tulong, ng trabaho at educational assistance yung mga biktima. Pero ang talagang sabi niya, pangako ko sa inyo, piskal naman ako dati, gagawin kong lahat para mapabilis ang pagkamit ng hustisya. Nagpasalamat naman po ang mga Maguindanao Massacre victims kasi 8 taon na nga silang nakikibaka, ngayon lang po sila tinanggap officially ng presidente ng Pilipinas.
Okay, thank you so much. Sir, your final statement.
Well, ako po yung nagagalak at nakasama ko kayo dito sa Panakan, ang tinatawag na Panakanyang. At asahan niyo po, hindi po ito ang huling pagkakataon. Siguro po gagawin din natin itong regular dahil taga rito naman ang presidente. At talaga pong napakadaming tanong doon sa pagtigil ng usaping pagkapayapaan. Ang masasabi ko lang po, hindi na po kasalanan ng presidente yan. Lahat na po ng hakbang ay ginawa ng presidente para magkaroon ng matagalang kapayapaan sa ating bayan, pero hindi naman po pwede na yung pagnanais ng kapayapaan ay sa parte lamang ng gobyerno. The ball is in the court of the CPP-NPA. Magandang umaga po at maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, spokesperson, Attorney Harry Roque. I'd like to thank our media friends also, the